Hello and welcome to Starting Points, where one thing leads to another. Though I'm still on that branch about flight, and bear with me. Some branches are larger branches than other branches. My brother's flying machine, Wilbur, Orville, and me, Jane Yolen got interested in this to tell about someone who hadn't gotten a lot of limelight shown on her, but who behind the scenes was very important for the success of their flight, and both the brothers acknowledged that. It was a very close-knit family, but these three were very close. It's told in almost a form of poetry, I would say poetry, and when I was looking through it, I mean, Jim Burke's paintings were amazing. I came across a page, and that page was lined paper, and it had a poem in it. It's not by Jane Yolen. This poem's by Beverly McLaughlin. So just one of those bizarre little twigs that pop up. And the poem goes like this. The student's name was Connell. And thank you, Connell, because this brought some smiles to me. Watching buzzards, flying kites, lazy, crazy boys, the Wrights. They tried to fly just like a bird. Foolish dreamers, strange, absurd. We scoffed and scorned their dreams of flight, but we were wrong, and they were right. So that's a funny poem. Well, this is a tribute, really, to the role that women play in many endeavors by the support that they bring and the help that they do. The Wright brothers. I'd read this book before I'd read the Jane Yolen book. It's the Wright brothers at Kitty Hawk by Donald Sobel. I knew him from Encyclopedia Brown years ago, and this was obviously, he was always interested in doing detective work in Encyclopedia Brown anyway, and Donald Sobel had interests in other different things, and he'd go off and check it out. So this is a neat book. I like this. Before the Fact is the Dream, and he talks about their life and brings it right up, and there's some actual photos. They were interesting inventors, and this book really took me. I have to tip my imaginary hat to the work of Dan Gutman, Gutman, Race for the Sky, the Kitty Hawk Diaries of Johnny Moore. Now, he wanted to make this event as personable as he could, to make it graspable, as though someone was there who was recording and telling things from the time and around the event and afterwards. And he got an inspiration because the Wright brothers had written who was actually there when they flew their historic flight. And it included a young boy. And So Dan figures out he's going to write as though this boy had been given a diary, and he's going to write in the way that somebody of his age would talk, and follow it through the years and that's what he does. And it's fascinating. Now, he isn't just drawing on his imagination, because he does extensive reading and research and finding out about things, and how can he put that into this diary form. And the diary's a very clever way to do it. So I was really pleased with this book. They never gave up. Focuses on different people and what they did. Yes. The Glorious Flight across the Channel, that's the English Channel, with Louis Belleroth, who was a French early pilot, plane flyer, inventor. And it was done by Alice and Martin Provenson. Well, I know Alice and Martin Provenson, and our animal friends at Maple Hill Farms, and the other 3 books about Maple Hill Farm and about other things. And I was so amazed when I discovered that that was an interest, obviously, that they had. And there's a book called Moonbird that I've been wanting to share it at some point. It's really about migrations, but this is about a bird about the size of a robin, but it lives in the Arctic in the summer when it's warmer and there's some snow melt and they can get to some food things and all. And then it migrates. It goes from the Arctic, Allen's way northern Canada, all the way down to South America, the tip of South America, and then to the island that's right down there, Tierra del Fuego, and spends the winter, which is actually the summer down there, and then flies back up. Now it lays its eggs and it does its nesting in these Arctic islands. And it was banned with a ban and recaught at times, so they were able to calculate how many trips it had made. And adding up the trips it had made, it could have flown from Earth to the moon and halfway back. So it's a champion natural flyer in my books. But I'd maybe mention it again when we look at migrations of people and animals and all. Jane Yolen. I knew Jane Yolen because I had a book called Milkweed Days. And I'll say more about this book at another time when I'm looking at the monarch butterfly. So I'll put that over there. But she had interests about all kinds of things. Early on, after she graduated from college, one of the things that she worked on for graduate work was folk tales. And she created a book of folk tales around the world. So here's another way to travel around the world in 80 days or whatever. Read a folk tale a day, and she's got them in here that they're just so quite a compilation. And the work and effort that she did researching them and then writing them, I'm sure it paid benefits when she was writing her own fiction. For instance, The Transfigured Heart. This was probably something of interest to her, the Devil's Arithmetic, and she wrote about those horrific times. Ascending of Dragons, it's part of a series, and she's written about, as I say, a multitude of different topics. For instance, Ring Out, a book of bells, history of the old bell foundries and making of the bells, like a Liberty Bell and things like that. It's, again, shows that in a lifetime you can explore many branches. And I have one other book here which I'm going to save and talk about, share some things when we get to looking at paper, because we want to look at some kites and some kites that you can make, like vest pocket kite, and there'll be things like origami and tangrams. But I was fascinated by the fact that this has an article in here about Will Yolen, her father, who was a noted, keen kite maker and kite flyer. So it's a small world sometimes. Big world, small world sometimes. Well, thanks so much for joining me. And till next time, bye for now.